All right, we're gonna go on a little swimmy swim. Think I might try to get to the reef over there. It's like maybe 400 meters out or so. Haven't done that in a while. Might give that a go. But it's gonna be a relaxed one today. These are mornings in the grow. Let's do it.
I'm waiting for something to change. 'Cause when I'm not here, it's like I'm falling. And I don't know why I feel pain. 'Cause when I'm not here, I keep on falling. I've been waiting in silence to see a little bit of fire, but all I see is you. Yeah, I've been waiting in silence to see a little bit of fire, but all I see is you.
There's a turtle, but it's so much faster than me. Couldn't catch him. I think he likes those little jellyfish things. I don't know what they are, but I don't like swimming in them. But I think the turtle likes to eat them. I think they're like little jellyfish thingies. I don't know. Not too far back, too far out. The reef is over here somewhere. We're close. Morning, Billy.
So I feel safe and sound. Yeah, I can't forget. I keep searching. Need you to be found. So I feel safe and sound. I've been hiding out for days next to
back to the program. Hope you guys enjoyed that little break, that little swim break, if you will. Next up, we got all right, we're getting into it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Happy Sunday to you all. I hope everybody had a great week. Last week, we are just warming up. Thank you all for joining. And as you can see by the thumbnail and title, this should be an interesting one today. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. So many of you have sent me messages, I would say in the last 3 to 4 weeks, on this very same topic about poor service experiences in Jamaica across a multitude of industries. And I want to talk about it and get into it a little bit from my own personal experience, give you my thoughts on why this is, where we stand, perhaps some solutions that we can look forward to. And nonetheless, it can be a tough experience across the board in respect to certain elements of service. And I want to take it in several different directions and look at it from several different perspectives. And we'll get into it shortly, just kind of warming up here. But let me know, some of you are putting it in already, but let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. I always appreciate you taking the time out to spend at least a little bit of your Sunday with me. And I hope this could be a valuable and fruitful and engaging discussion that we have here today. I definitely thrive off of engagement. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. That's not an excuse. Today we had the reggae marathon, and it started at 5:15. The gun went off. I did not run, but I did get up to cheer on all the runners this morning. So if you ran this morning, a big congratulations to you. I'm just looking at my Whoop, and I got 2 hours and 29 minutes of sleep last night. I was up working late and literally lost track of time and had to get up this morning. Made sure I got up super early this morning to cheer on my fellow runners since I couldn't be there myself. But this is my Whoop, just so you can see exactly the sleep that I got. And it's saying that I need 9 hours and 34 minutes of sleep to make up for my lack of sleep last night. I don't know if I'm going to get that. And then let's look at my recovery is at 19%. I'm like very close to let's see if there we go. Very close to death here apparently, according to this thing. But this is a great app. If you follow me on Instagram, I tend to post my sleep stats and recovery stats from time to time. I think it's a great piece of equipment. This is what I wear on my wrist here, and kind of keeps sleep at the forefront of my brain. And as I mentioned before a few times, that like going into next year, I definitely want to make just health and wellness and physical health, mental health and wellness a big part of this channel's content. I think it's just so important and it falls very much into the context of a lot of things that we're speaking about here, right? Health is wealth. You don't have that, honestly, you don't have anything. So if I can help in any way in terms of my experience and what I do and pass that knowledge on to you all, I will absolutely do that. All right, let's hop into the comments before we get into today's topic at hand. What's going on, Donna? Good to see you. Donna says, happy Sunday, Throp and Throppers from Ottawa, Canada. Had a wonderful stay at Travelers and missing it already. It was so nice having you. Montella says, hello all from London, England. Nice to have you. Vivian, hello from Palm Beach, Florida. Janice, what's going on? Nice to see you. She's part of the Travelers family. Montel says, I return to Mandeville, Jamaica annually. My birthday, keen to explore hidden gems in the future. Awesome. Gracie says, hello, everyone in the chat. Good to see you. Empress Flames, hello. Thanks for joining. Andrea says, hello from Westchester County, New York. Kingston 16, what's going on? Chiming in from California. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you are well. Crystal Nicole, happy Sunday. Hello from Iowa. Awesome. Jala Ford. Hey, Throp. Hey, Throppers. Phil's in Cajun country. Nicola, happy Sunday. Throp and Throppers chiming in from Texas. Awesome. Buffalo Soldier. Good day from the Sunshine State. Nice to see you. Nice to have met you in person as well. Dallas says, great topic today. Looking forward to this discussion. Yeah, we are going to get into it. I can promise you that. What's going on, James? Looks like this is going to be a good topic. I think so too. Driving Uber while listening in Boston, Massachusetts. Awesome. Really happy to be on the ride along, Chris. Verna says, good afternoon, all. Jala 3D Holistic Living. That's right. Absolutely. Red Bubbles. Hi, Throppers. Love from London. Thanks for joining. Jay, hello, everyone. Bless up, Throp. Corey MPA chiming in from Miami this time. Good to see you. Town Sound says resistance against authority is in our cultural DNA. We're going to get into that for sure. King Abuja. Abijas, excuse me. Peace, tuning in from Toronto. Good to have you. Donna says, listen to her. Hit that like button, folks. Red Stripe for life. Hey, Throp and Throppers. All right, we got all the comments. Thank you all for chiming in and being here. All right, so we're gonna hop right into it, and we're just gonna roll with it. So, as you can see from the title and the thumbnail, that this could be looked at as a controversial topic, right? We're talking today about generally poor service experience in Jamaica, and perhaps why that is. Why do some industries have better service than others, and some businesses have better services than others? And what can we look forward to in respect to possible solutions to this, and just overall upgrading our service quality here in Jamaica, like really, like literally right across the board. And I believe there is a path to this. And looking back on our past, on Jamaica's past, and where we have seen improvements in certain industries that we can look to and at least have some level of optimism for the future in respect to this. And so, as I was saying earlier, I've been receiving several messages over the last few weeks, last couple months, asking to speak about this topic, and people telling me about specific incidences that they have experienced as it relates to really, really poor, subpar service in different industries, too specifically, and that is at the banking service, and then also dining service. Those are the main two, I guess, the main two industries that at least I've been receiving complaints, so to speak, about. And it's definitely a tough situation, right? And there is, sometimes you can give some grace, and other times I don't know, it's just hard to put up with. And especially living in the globalized modern society that we live in today, you almost think, especially if you're somebody who is living abroad, or you're well traveled, well experienced, basic service, and you've experienced basic service. And to come to a situation, or come to a country, or have experienced a multitude of experiences of constantly having poor service seemingly for no reason, it can become extremely, extremely frustrating. And one of the main reasons why I'm specifically talking about this topic today is that I am now allowed to speak about this from my personal business experience here at Travelers, after having a discussion with my brothers. And this is something that I've been kind of sitting on for the last few months, because you don't want to jump to conclusions. I am not one to speak ill of a business, whether small, large, multinational, doesn't matter how big or small you are. I do my best to reserve judgment and to call them out, so to speak. And I'm always one who believes in second chances and giving these companies and individuals an opportunity to make up. Because I mean, trust me, I'm in the service industry, I'm in the hotel business. We're not perfect here at Travelers, but we learn. And we're also very genuine in the service that we try to give anybody who comes to Travelers. But we're not perfect, but we do take responsibility for our actions. And I think that is very, very important for any business owner, is to really take accountability for you and your team. And so anyway, and I am now able to comfortably, I would say, talk about my particular situation here at Travelers. Before we get into it, let's start with hospitality, and specifically restaurant service, right? So let's start with that. And the thing with Jamaica, right? And I'll speak from my perspective here, as a owner of a business that's in hospitality in Jamaica, competing at what I would consider a very, very high level. There's a lot of competition specifically in hotels, in the grill, in Jamaica globally. And I always think that people who come to Jamaica, they don't have to come here. If they can pay to come to Jamaica, they can pay to go to Cancun, they can pay to go to Tulum, they can pay to go to Europe, probably anywhere in the world. But I find great honor and great pride that they've chosen Jamaica, and that then at the end of the day that they chose stay with travelers, or they chose to have a meal here. And I take that very, very seriously, and I'm always honored by that. And so with that being said, those folks who come to Jamaica and have this experience, whatever it may be, it's like when it's a bad experience, I also take that to heart, right? And I want to make sure, as far as I can, that if you're staying here, or if you have an experience here, that I do my best, or my team does its best to make sure that you have a good experience. And when I think back to, say, my dad started Travelers in 1994. And so when I think back to the competition that was here in the grill and the service that was being given, of course, I'm generalizing everything I'm saying here. And you look back at that level of competition, the level of service that was being given 30 something years ago, it was extremely poor compared to what it is now. And this is, when you think about it, and we think about Negril specifically, Negril was this sleepy fishing village that got popularized from a tourism perspective by the hippies, right? And so even the business owners, hotel owners, like, we didn't come from generations of hoteliers and hospitality. It's something that we've learned as we've gone along the way. And especially, I speak specifically to the small locally owned hotels that have really stepped up their really stepped up their game over the years. And these hotels that have gone through 9/11, the financial crisis, COVID, and have survived and thrived, we have only gotten better and better and better. And all over these decades, we've also been faced with tremendous competition by these multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies that we're competing with directly. And so we, as hoteliers, small hoteliers specifically, and small Jamaican hoteliers, we've had to learn and we've had to adapt to the market. And the market has really demanded that we get better. And going back to my analogy of when we started this hotel in 94, and thinking about, and I always look back at this, like thinking about how long it took back then to get food out. And it's not just Travelers, it's like every business along the strip, island time, right? And it was this, I can't necessarily say it was acceptable, but for the most part, you waiting for an hour for food was very normal. I mean, just almost any business, it was very, very normal for you to wait for an hour for food. Did people get frustrated? Did people get pissed? Absolutely. But then if you leave here and you go next door, you're going to have the same experience. And that's what it was. And so no matter where you went, you're going to wait for an hour for food. Of course, there were outliers back then in the 90s. And again, I want to restate that I'm generalizing here. And so over the years, and as we evolved in the hospitality industry and competition became more and more and more, we realized that not only are we competing against the new hotels that are coming in, the big all-inclusives, the foreign-owned properties that have a lot more resources than we do as small hotels, but we are also competing globally against other hotels and other hospitality experiences that these guests, again, who choose to come to Jamaica, and they don't have to, but they've experienced hospitality and restaurant service in other countries. And then they come to Jamaica and they say, oh, it takes an hour to get my food. I'm not coming back. That's ridiculous, right? And so we were then forced to get better by our competition up the road and then also our international competition. And so now, to get your food now, if you're going to wait for an hour for a food, a guest is going to wait for an hour now in 2024, that has become completely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And you're going to be out of business fairly quickly if you have, as a restaurateur or a hotelier, if you haven't figured that formula out for yourself. And that has become the new baseline standard. And 20, 30 minutes max. That's how long. That's what the acceptable standard I would say is. And sometimes you get it even. You'll get less than that, of course, and in certain places depending on what your meal is. And so the expectation for, and of course the food has to be good. Don't get me wrong. Like the quality has to be good, but also in the time in which you get it. And don't get me wrong. There are still places in the grill I can speak to that it's done to order. And those businesses are doing good because the food is that good. And then also, I'm not going to name names, but there are restaurants that I go to that it's going to take some time because that food is being cooked right there on the spot, out the freezer, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to take a little bit. And so that expectation has been set. But nonetheless, you are across the board, generalizing again, your wait time is a lot less, generalizing, right? And so now what we got to look at that I think is important in this discussion and in trying to get to an understanding of why generally service again, generalizing, don't kill me here, guys. Generally, the service in Jamaica is below an acceptable standard, in my opinion. Generally speaking, there are some great businesses out there who give great service. And you have some great experiences that will blow you away and that could stand against any company or any experience that you'd have around the world. That we have that. We absolutely 100% have that. Don't get me wrong. However, now we got to think, all right, why has our baseline been so low, right? What's the situation? What is causing that? And it's without question, it's culture. And I mean, that's probably the easiest thing to say. It's our culture. We just move at a slower pace, just from the home. And you think about it, it's like in every facet of our society, in just getting things done. I mean, I don't necessarily want to go deep into that. And I think for most people who are Jamaican, who lived here, who visit here frequently, who have been here once, you understand what I'm saying, is that it's very much embedded in our society, the soon come mentality. And that's like kind of the default, right? And so in my opinion, I think a big reason why that is that generally speaking, there isn't necessarily an impetus to make our push for an adjustment, our push for a change, even from when you're a kid growing up. And I think, my opinion again, I think a lot of it comes down to a lack of competition. And I'm going to skip, the childhood, adolescence, and move into the professional world with my argument in respect to competition. So bringing it back to hospitality and bringing it back to the hotel sector here. And you think, what was really the driver of the analogy that I just gave of waiting for your food for over an hour in 1994, and then 2024, people aren't going to wait more than 20 minutes for their food? What drove hoteliers, restaurateurs what drove them to ensure that not only does the quality of the food is still maintained, but also the timing of the food that comes out? What drove that? And to me, what drove that is the customers. The market drove that. The globalized customers that we have coming to Jamaica were saying, this is no longer acceptable. I cannot, me and my family coming for dinner, and I have my 4-year-old screaming because it's taking over an hour for food to come out. that is no longer acceptable. I'm not coming here. And so we were forced as an industry to adapt and to make sure that we were satisfying the level of expectation from our direct market. And we had to step up our game, and we continue to do so. And we continue to invest in training, and we continue to step up our standards because, again, we are competing globally. What was also a big driver of this was competition. Huge driver, huge driver. When you have, again, I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to call out companies, but when you have these multinational corporations coming into Jamaica, these big all-inclusives, some small hotels that are putting millions and millions of dollars into their properties, and sometimes hundreds of millions of US dollars, I'm talking about, into these properties, they're also putting a lot of those resources into their training, again, to make sure that the standard of service that their clientele is receiving is on par with their other properties that are around the world. And it cannot drop below that. So they're going to ensure they're going to do whatever they have to do to ensure that their level of service that they're offering their clientele, whether it's here in Negril, Trelawney, Montego Bay, whatever property that any guest of those hotels choose to stay in, the level of service is going to meet a certain standard. And what did that do for us, small hoteliers, small locally owned hotels? We have to compete with that, because after 9/11, I remember my dad told me this, I was still in high school. What happened when these large all-inclusive hotels were here in Jamaica, it kind of first came, they dropped their prices to $50 all-inclusive. And we, as a small hotel, we cannot compete with that. Impossible. We'd be losing money every day. And so what could we compete with is service and experience. That's all we had. That's all we had to compete with, and to compete with these astronomical resources in comparison to what we had to offer on the market. We had to get better. So the competition, in my mind, is what really, really drove it. And then on top of that, again, our market. Who is the client? If our clients who are coming to Jamaica, who are coming to Negril, staying at Travelers, wherever, if they were saying, waiting for 2 hours for food, no problem, there is no incentive. There's absolutely no incentive for us to invest in better service and training, in new equipment to make us more efficient. All these different things, there is no incentive to do so. But because we've been forced from competition, it's a huge economic driving force and incentive. And then on top of that, if the market is forcing us, the market is forcing the industry to get better and have better service. And I think that, I'm obviously very biased, but nonetheless, I think this is a real truth and a real reality. When you think about other industries, I'm not gonna saying this to dog other industries in Jamaica, but when you look at the hospitality industry in Jamaica compared to other industries, and let's again think back to the clients. You look at our level of service compared to other industries that are out there. To me, it is elevated because our clients are international clients, and they themselves have a certain level of standard. And you could say whatever you want, it's not fair, and we should be doing better for our locals and our Jamaicans. That the demand is not coming from them. And please just make sure you have that, keep that thought in your mind. What that sentence I just said, that's going to be very important. I'm going to come back to it in a few minutes. So the market isn't demanding, the local market wasn't demanding that food came out in a certain time. It was used to, everywhere you go, it's going to be an hour, right? But the international market, again, is like, no. We know better. We've experienced better. You guys got to get your act together. You got to get this food out faster. Now, if you look at other industries that are here where the majority, and I'm not saying this is fair. I'm saying this is the reality. When you look at other industries that the majority of the clientele are local, there again, it's an accepted level of service by the locals, right? And let's move into banking. And hey, I know the banks are probably the easiest thing to pile on here, but it's something that we all can relate to. And it's just one of those things that, again, I'm generalizing. I'm not saying every single bank is like this, but we can all relate to a very poor service banking situation, right? And normally you go to some of these banks have branches in different parts of the world, right? And if you were to go to those banks that are outside of Jamaica, if you were to spend more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the bank, your head would explode. Those clientele would not accept that. No way. No way they would accept that. They would not accept, I think like 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, like 90% of the ATMs in the grill had no cash. Unbelievable. Like that is mind-boggling to me. It was all over Facebook, all over the Negro groups. There was no money in most of the ATMs in the grill. And that, of course, affected our team members who need to go to the ATM after they get paid to get cash, to take care of whatever they got to do, to do whatever they have to do for themselves and their families. And then on top of that, the people who are visiting who want to spend cash and put it back into the economy, whether it's taking a route taxi, the jerk chicken man on the road, are going to a restaurant, are buying something from one of the vendors on the beach. They didn't have access to cash to do that. And there's still a lot of cash only businesses here in the grill. And when you think again of the banking situation, it is this thing that we accept. I think it's this thing that the people have not said, all right, enough is enough. And I don't think it's going to happen because people, of course, I'm generalizing here, just want to put that disclaimer, is that it's kind of just accepted. All right, I'm going to go to the bank and it's going to take up half my day, which I think is ridiculous. Oh, there's no money in the ATM. That's normal. Let's keep it moving. And this stuff is unacceptable. Again, especially if you go to their branch in another country, it's just not like that. And I haven't heard a good reason as to why this poor level of service is acceptable. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really, 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 really don't get it. But again, I want to go back to my premise here is that the clientele is not demanding better from the industry or from the company. And so I think it's going to be two things, going back to my analogy that I originally opened up with. I think it's going to be two things. It's going to be more competition. Let's stick with the banks here. It's going to be another bank that's going to come in and they're just going to revolutionize. It's very hard for me to use that word, revolutionize, because at most places in the world, you're just not going to have this experience, this poor level of service, again, generalizing, going to the bank. But there's going to be a company, a banking system, or banking company that comes in and revolutionizes banking, right? Or it's going to be the clientele in Jamaica is going to shift, or maybe the clientele in a specific area is going to shift, where if the majority of the people who are banking with a particular bank are saying, hey, this is no longer acceptable, and they're going to rally and yada, 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 and push for this to be changed. That to me is how things are going to change if we are talking about the banking system. So, and yes, I do think there has to be a discussion on competence. It has to be part of the discussion, right? And I've said this before, that the onus of professionalizing our young people coming out of high school, coming out of college, greatly falls on businesses and entrepreneurs. Greatly falls on us, because my personal belief, the education system, how it's set up, and then you also combine that with generalizing here, how our communities are set up. It's not conducive to spitting out, if you will, high character, high ethic, high ethical, hard working, high ethics individual, right? And work, I'm speaking about like really work ethic more than anything else. Like we're not spitting that out. And so in my experience, you find that you have to create this person that and train this person up to be this high level professional, and it takes a lot of work because the baseline in terms of skill that you're getting with these, especially with these young people, is really poor. And let's like call it what it is. And I'm not saying that anybody's dumb or anything like that, not at all. Very, very capable, very, very smart, bright individuals. But they just haven't, in my opinion, had a real opportunity given to them to reach their potential. And it's like so important, I think, that these young people are, and there's no way to control this, right? But that their first job or their first professional working environment that they go into, that mentorship and that management is crucial. It's crucial for the trajectory of their personal life and also their professional life, is to have good leadership and to go under the wing of good leadership, to show them the ropes, and then to build them into a high character individual. And you can't really control that, especially coming out of a schooling system, perhaps community that doesn't necessarily foster that. And I think that first job is so important. That first level of mentorship is so important, because eventually they're going to go from, whether it's through time or just through people retiring, opportunities, they're going to become the senior worker, if you will, in an organization or in an industry. And if we're not training them up properly, when they do get into those senior roles and they just haven't had the necessary guidance, experience, education, formal or informal, they're going to continue to give poor service. And I look at and I'm gonna mention this company's name in a positive way. I look at a company like Sandals, and God bless them. God bless them. And when I think about Jamaica and the impact that Sandals has had on this island, it is an unquantifiable number in respect to the positive impact that they've had on Jamaica, specifically the service industry. And you look at what they've done, like you look at what they've done over the years, and I don't know their numbers. This is not what I'm guessing, that they have spit out in, I think they were been around 40 years, probably tens of thousands of educated, sandalized workers that have gone and spread their wings all over, not only the hospitality industry, but other industries as well. And they have, I won't necessarily say they figured something out, but they do a very good job in standardizing an extremely high level of service quality across all of their brands. And if you have gone through a Sandals training, which I have actually, I've gone through some Sandals training and got certificates back in the day, you see why they are so freaking good at what they do. They take training extremely seriously. They take their service that they offer to their clientele extremely, extremely seriously. And we as a country have benefited from that immensely. And we are so lucky to have them. And as a hotelier, I guarantee there is a good percentage of people working at Travelers that have worked at Sandals. And then you can go across to many hotels that they have worked and been trained at Sandals. And they really bring at least a baseline understanding of high quality service across the board. And the impact that they've had on the country, incredible. And again, being driven by their clientele. And to me, this is why I think when you compare the hospitality industry, say to banking, or even like a grocery store or whatever have you, a taxi driver sometimes too, you have this higher level of standard because the industry just demands better service across the board. People are going to smile at you. People are going to welcome you. You're going to see the best of what Jamaica has to offer. And again, people are upset that like these multinational companies are coming to Jamaica and, this is not Jamaican owned. That's not Jamaican owned. Where would we be as a country and with service without the hospitality industry? Where would our service level be? What else would drive good service? What else would drive better service? What else would elevate the level of service and expectation that we have in the hospitality industry and beyond? What other industry would demand this? I can't think of one. And I'm open to hearing your thoughts on this. I cannot think of one. We don't have anything else at least at scale, from a manufacturing perspective, from an innovation perspective. We just don't have that. And our clientele, again, majority are a big part of it are folks who are not from Jamaica, who are well-traveled, who have had experiences outside of Jamaica around the world, and are demanding and continuing to demand more as we move into the future and as we become more and more globalized and as we spread our wings as a country, inviting even more people from different countries from all over the world. The demand and level of service keeps going higher and higher and higher. And so I think we are so lucky as a country to have Sandoz be Jamaican owned and operated, and just has had the impact that it has had on Jamaica, on the hospitality industry. And I think in a big way, an argument can be made that because of what they have put out at scale in terms of the elevated level of service in hospitality, it just goes out to other industries. And I truly believe that has also elevated the level of service in an indirect way. And you think about it, think about all the other supportive industries that are linked to hospitality that indirectly are demanding a higher level of service. And so even just take renovations, for example, that we're doing here at Travelers. Again, not perfect in respect to like construction or anything like that. But when you look at, say, a new construction that is happening, or new construction is happening in Jamaica, specifically hotels, right? And you look at the innovation in architecture, you look at the innovation in amenities. We, as a country, as a contractor, you have to get better because, again, when it comes down to the client, who really is the person who, let's say, that's not Jamaican, who decides to buy a plane ticket, sit on the plane for however many hours, come here, take a taxi, go to their hotel, they're the ones who are demanding the architecture has to be of such. And that demand trickles all the way down to the farmer. It trickles all the way down to the carpenter. It trickles all the way down to the guy who's laying the tiles. And the attention to detail on all those things has to be elevated, because at the end of the day, the client who's coming from wherever is demanding that there is a certain level of expectation. So that comes in delivering, going to the contractor, delivering the construction project on time, high quality. And as a hotelier, business owner, you're driving this and you're ensuring that this is at a certain level. That service that is being offered by that tradesman, you're making them get better, because the competition that you're facing, is elevated, and you're forcing the people that are working with you to get better at what they are doing. And perhaps if they were just, building houses in the middle of the country, that the standard would be like just whatever. And there would be no push for them to get better. There would be no push for them to be more efficient with their time and finishing under budget and on time with whatever project that they're working on. And this is all being driven by the client. Same thing with the farmer. The farmer knows that we got to deliver. We got to make sure the crops are on time and that we're leaving out early enough in the morning to make the delivery. And they got to be on time, because the hospitality industry demands that the quality of the lettuce is good, it's delivered on time and ready to eat, whatever have you, right? And so there's a lot that can be matriculated out to this one industry that is pushing other industries. And again, my argument that other industries, I hate to pile on the banks, that the clientele there, my opinion, not driving it. And so this is my, I guess, overall argument on service, right? And now I want to get into my personal experience here, or I should say professional experience that I've had and that I want to share with you guys. And it doesn't have to do with a bank. It actually has to do with the phone company. And we're going to get into it. I got to take a quick bathroom break. I should have done it before we started. I will be right back and we're going to get right into it. Don't move. This is a very important discussion that we need to have. And I think it's important that we all understand this, and hopefully we can be on the same page with a lot of what I'm gonna speak about shortly. I'll be right back.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining the tour today, and we're going to be taking a look at the newly renovated bungalows, or otherwise now known as the cottages, which we've gone through about half of them so far. And we're looking at cottages number 4 and 8 at this time, and this is just a view of the balcony. We changed the entrance from being in the middle, and so if you are familiar with the property, there used to be an entrance for 2 rooms in one of these bungalow housing structures, and now each bungalow, each room has their own entrance to the side and a little bit more privacy as well, because we split the balcony. So you don't necessarily have to talk to the neighbor if you don't want to, but you can of course go around if you would like. And moving into the room itself, these are brand new beds and frames and new design with the throw pillows and the standard pillows in the back there. And then you can also see the kitchenette unit that we renovated, and we'll get to in a second. Also, we added a working desk with a charging station, so you have USB and also Type-C there as well, right below the television. And that's for anybody who wants to get some work done, especially those work from home people. And this is a wider view of the room, and I just want to make note of the AC, because these used to be fan-cooled rooms, and now we got rid of the louver windows, and so now it's completely sealed up, if you will, with, as far as the windows go, brand new windows. And also want to bring attention to the ceilings. So the ceilings used to be flat, and now we brought them up to an apex to give a little bit more room and make it feel a little bit more spacious, but still maintain the coziness. And also bringing some more attention to the far right corner of the kitchenette that we have, and we'll get to that in a second, and also the newly renovated bathroom. So we basically gutted this entire place. Even the floor tiles are brand new as well. And this is another angle of the bed, and just want to bring some attention to the LED bed frame, as well as the embedded nightstands and lamps, and another view of the kitchenette, I should say. And as you can see, it has basically all the utensils and tools that you might need to cook a meal. Included is a mini fridge there down on the left, and a hot plate, coffee maker, ice bucket, all the knives and utensils that you may need to feed a small family. Not necessarily Thanksgiving dinner, but you can definitely chef it up in there, especially if you're staying for an extended period of time. This might be a perfect type of accommodation for you. And that essentially is the kitchen. And now moving on to the bathroom. And as I mentioned before, like floor to ceiling, new floor tiles, new ceiling tiles. We got the LED frame around the mirror just to give a little bit more lights. We changed out the square louver windows for the ship window, I guess you can call it. And we got the rainfall shower head and the glass frame shower door. Even the towel holders, those are all new. And again, trying to bring together everything in the room, the kitchenette, and to complete the cottage experience, if you will. So very happy and proud of how this was done, and really wanted to give a modern look and feel to this new room category, the cottage. And so also with this wide angle, want to bring attention to the closet. So you got some drawer space there, and you got some hanging space as well, and your safe, of course, and the ironing board is on the other side in between the closet and the window there. And yeah, another angle of the room, and also want to bring attention to that long standing mirror there, so full frame mirror. And that essentially is the bungalow. And this is kind of our way of paying homage to my dad and where he started from with this hotel, Travelers Beach Resort. Started right with one bungalow and grew to the 60-room resort that Travelers Beach Resort is now. And my dad hasn't seen it as yet physically. I think he's seen pictures and everything like that. So just want to share this renovation with you all. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. So back to our regularly scheduled program.
All right, we are back. And of course, if you haven't hit that like button, make sure you do that. And if you're not subscribed, I don't know how that's possible. Make sure you subscribe. Let's continue the discussion here. Okay, as I mentioned before the break, I am now going to speak to a personal, professional situation that we've been dealing with here at Travelers. And again, it comes down to service at the end of the day. And it goes back to the example and the analogy of, I don't want to attack anybody personally here, but at the end of the day, a business does come down to the individuals that are in that business and how proficient they are in their profession and what they do. And I know a lot of people here, as I was quickly glancing at the comments, have been speaking to poor level of service at what some might consider an entry-level job, right? Or, maybe it's somebody's first job out of high school, or they just started working as a waitress or waiter, and maybe they didn't have the best experience, right? And at a restaurant, or maybe they go to a grocery store and they get an attitude, or a pharmacy, or whatever have you, or maybe even a local rum bar, and they get poor service, bad attitude, take a long time to get their drink or food or whatever have you. And we can all relate to that. And where I'd say that this is, I'd say that this experience is up and down the food chain, up and down the totem pole, so to speak, right? And again, I think this is something that is, when you go further upstream and you go to education through the level of not the level of education, excuse me, the quality of the education that you receive from basic school, primary school, high school, maybe you went to college, that sort of thing. And then also, again, that first person, who is your mentor? Who is your manager when you first came into whatever profession that you're in, right? And then even so, like, who is your superior that you're working for? Like, and what are they demanding of you as somebody as their subordinate, right? And what level of service, of expertise are those and that leadership demanding of their team members? Is it lackadaisical? Is it whatever? Is it soon come? What is the company demanding? What level of professionalism are these companies demanding? And with our situation here, like I mentioned before, it has to do with a phone company. And we have cable and wireless, or Flow. And we have this unfortunate situation where our lines have been down since October. And many, many, many of you have reached out to me. I'm trying to call, but I can't get through. I'm trying to call, but I can't get through. And that's because our lines have been down. And the reason we have been told, and I don't know if there are other companies, other hotels that are experiencing this. I haven't spoke to anybody, but hotels that I've called, their lines seem to be okay. This could be a unique thing to Travelers Beach Resort. I'm not sure. Maybe it's only a small percentage of us who are affected by this, but we haven't had our phone lines that we've had for the last 30 something years. It's down, and it's been down since October. And they told us that they were supposed to be doing some sort of upgrade to our system, and it was supposed to come in, and we spoke to the person in Kingston. They were supposed to get back to us, and where they don't call us, we call them, and we're just on them, calling every day, and they're telling us that they're not telling us anything anymore because they're at this point, they're not getting back to us. Again, extremely poor level of service. And I look at it that we are hospitality professionals. We are business professionals that are supposed to be communicating and operating with other business professionals that are supposed to be offering this high level of service. I'm not talking about like my cable is down at my home or my Wi-Fi is down at my home. I'm talking about the lifeline of our business has been out since October. And we have zero answers as to why that is and as to when we will get that service back. So much so, again, that they are not even returning our phone calls. Completely unacceptable. And this is supposed to, again, be one of Jamaica's top companies, right? One of Jamaica's top companies. And I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is. And I don't mean to come here and complain about it, but it just speaks to my point that we've been making here. And when you think about, let's go to the past a little bit, right? And you think back to, the 90s when my dad started this company, and even when I moved here in let's call it the early 2000s, mid to 2000s. And you had, I would say, my experience, and from what I can remember back then, like the two worst companies, if you were to take a survey, would be JPS and Cable and Wireless. Like the worst. I personally think JPS has made an incredible comeback in terms of service. And I know people like they were. I know people still have their problem with them, and rightfully so in many respects. But their level of transparency has increased tremendously over the last few decades. Their level of service, especially the time of outages. I can speak specifically to Negril, where back in the day when there was an outage, sometimes it would be days, and forget about it if it was a storm, whether it's a hurricane, tropical storm. Literally day, like you just couldn't depend on it. Now it's hours. Very extremely good communication. And there's also a high level of accountability. It's, to me, my opinion, my experience here as a business owner, it's one of the greatest comebacks in as far as like a company, and also its perception, not even its perception, but the reality of their service. How huge 180 that they've had. Trust me, and they have room for improvement. They acknowledge it. One thing I appreciate about where they are now is the level of accountability, one, that they have, and then two, the openness of their communication. There's a name and a face that we can talk to, and I really appreciate that as a customer of that. Now moving on to Cable and Wireless. Back then, disgustingly terrible. I mean, your line is down, weeks, months. It's like pretty much what we're experiencing now in 2024 in the late 90s to early 2000s. That's what the service was like with Cable and Wireless. Horrific. And you know why it was like that? Going back to my two main reasons that I opened up with: the clientele and lack of competition. As soon as Digicel came on board, oh my gosh, did they get their act together. Man, they even did this whole rebranding to Flow. That's how terrible and disgusting of a reputation that C&W had back in the day. Terrible, horrific. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky. It was terrible. And they got better. Because there was competition. And this is why I don't mind competition. I think we need it as a country. Because that is what's going to push these companies. That is what's going to push the level of service, the level of amenities that we deserve. And unfortunately, I personally don't believe that demand is going to be pushed hard and fast enough locally. I think it's going to be outside competition, or maybe the competition can come within Jamaica. That's also very possible. Very, very, very possible. However, this is the only way I've seen it. Again, going back to cable and wireless and Digicel, complete 180. And their service got better packages across the board. And I think this can be applied to so many different industries in Jamaica. And I don't think we should be fearful. I think we should be looking at the past and think of why the good service that we do have here in certain industries and certain businesses that we love to patronize because they have great service. It's because of competition in a big way. And sometimes that competition is not necessarily international competition, but competition nonetheless. It is so important. It is one of the biggest incentives for these companies to do better. Now, getting back to our situation here at Travelers and with the phone company, it's just ridiculous that a company, again, in 2024, that this is happening. And as we look at the title of today's live stream, and has to do with the cost, what is the real cost of this? And I am one individual entity. Travelers is one individual entity. And we're a business. And you look at this example, this is not a knee-jerk situation. This is not something that happened and it's over. Like it's continuing on. It's not over. There is no end in sight. And we're one entity. How many other companies that fall under their portfolio are experiencing this? How many individuals are experiencing this terrible service? And let's get into the dollars, right? And without question, Travelers since October, we have lost tens of thousands of US dollars in business because our phones are down. Our lifeline is down. And we are easily going to move into the six figures of losses because we do not have our lifeline up. And there again is no end in sight. Nobody is getting back to us. And we have no resolution to this. Now let's extrapolate that out. To other businesses. And if we're losing tens of thousands, I am sure we are not the only company that is suffering this poor service. And extrapolate this out to 10 businesses, 100 businesses, 1,000 businesses. This is what holds the country back. It's slowing down commerce. And in our instance, it's almost wiping it out. It's wiping out commerce. And this is the type of service, this is the type of thing that will hold Jamaica back. And yeah, I'm talking about a phone company now, but you can do the same thing with the bank. And I gave this example before. And it's like, if you have an individual who has to spend half their day doing their business, that really there's no reason why it should take no more than half an hour. That is 3.5 hours, let's say. That's 3.5 hours less that individual has to be productive, whether they are a worker, business owner, or whatever have you. That's 3.5 hours less that they have to be a productive person of society. And then same thing with our situation. That money is gone. We'll never get that back. We are not going to get compensated for that. That is kiss it goodbye. Gone. And again, other companies who are suffering the same level of poor service, they are also losing. And that's less money that we have to reinvest to be more competitive out there. That's less money for us to put in amenities that our guests will appreciate. That's less money that we have to give over to our staff for salary raises. And it all feeds into this very, very terrible loop. And the professionals at this organization, they don't see it that way. There is zero sense of urgency. And a big point that I'm making with all this, like this again, is up and down the totem pole. You would think again that I would be speaking with, or we as a hotel would be speaking with our professional counterparts at this supposed professional organization. And we'd even have the courtesy of receiving a phone call back, or the courtesy of a path to success, a path to resolution, which we have not received. And now we are highly considering going with the alternative. But imagine that wasn't even an option. What do we do? Just sit here and just continue to lose thousands and thousands of dollars week after week, easily going to move as we move into our winter season. We're definitely going to move into six figures. Is Cable and Wireless Flow gonna give us that money back? You're right. You're right. And I was going to get into some other stuff with them, but I won't. My brothers told me not to, so I'm going to show. But this is an example again of, you think about just across different industries of how much this hurts our country. How much this hurts our country. Getting a bank loan, if it takes, whether it's doing construction on your home or doing a reinvestment into your small business, and the process being arduous and inefficient, it slows the country. Like, we're too small of a country, of an economy, to like have one transaction. And and I don't think of it like this, right? When a hiccup, I don't even know this, if I can, I'm downplaying it by saying this, but like when a hiccup like this situation where flow happens with travelers, like it's not just, and they don't think about this, it's not just travelers, right? It just tells me that this is just embedded in their company and corporate culture, and that they, in a big way, it's again holding back the country. Go, and take that to even construction, right? And when you have low competition there as well, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Chinese, xenophobia, and they shouldn't be doing this project and that project. It's going to make us better. It is making us better. The standard of the average Jamaican construction worker contractor is going to be elevated. They are going to be forced to get better at what they do. I'll give you an example of this is a tangent, but I guess it's relevant. We had this one contractor that I work with, one of the best I've worked with, individual dude, and he was good. He was good because of his experience. His experience was outside of Jamaica. He spent a lot of times in the Bahamas, and he learned about drywalling and these different methodologies and masonry. And he was quick and he was neat, extremely, extremely neat. Generalizing again, it's hard to find neat contract workers. Very, very hard, like carpenters, masons, that sort of thing. Very tilers, painters. Oh my God, the overpainting here is ridiculous. Very, very hard to find a very meticulous and neat person in that respect, professional. But because of his international experience that he got from outside of Jamaica, he brought that and made him more competitive. Mark, he's been on this show before. Mark Innes, a carpenter. He actually did all my flooring here in the studio. The most professional carpenter that I have ever worked with in Jamaica. And I've worked with many, many, many carpenters here. And I always say, like, I've never met a poor carpenter in Jamaica because they get so much work. Every carpenter I know is overworked. Carpenters in Jamaica, superb. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We don't have enough of them. Sidebar. We do not have enough carpenters in Jamaica, or at least here in the West, here in Negril. We just don't have enough. all overworked. Mark Innes, he, again, best carpenter that I've ever worked with. He spent many, many, many years in Brooklyn refining his trade, getting better at it, being pushed because the level of competition in New York is 100 times what it is in Jamaica, period. It just is what it is. And that forced him to get better at what he does. And so what did he do? He brought those skills to Jamaica. And he's fast, he's professional, he's neat, he has the he's invested in his equipment, he's invested in his guys, and he does a great job. And he charges a premium for it. And I'm happy to pay it. I'm happy to pay that premium because he is very good at what he does. And so our point is the outside experience that that folks have forced them to get better, and they bring that skill set back to Jamaica. The same thing that is happening with these international companies and the Chinese that are coming, that are here, I'm sorry, not coming, that are doing construction, road work, whatever have you. They are bringing new and innovative, different ways of doing construction, of investing in equipment, of doing load management with their team members. And this is something that is going to force local contractors, local carpenters, whatever have you, across the board to get better. They're going to have to learn, whether it's going on YouTube and learning, different ways to bind steel, mix cement. I don't know these things. I'm very limited. I have a little bit of experience in construction, but nonetheless, there is innovation to be had. I'll give you this one example. This is just like one of the stupidest, but this is real. When my dad was building his house in, it's got to be like 2009 or something like that, 2010. We hired this one construction guy, this one, I'm not going to say his name or even reference him. And he's building the house, and he was building a foundation. And my dad at the time bought one of those cement mixers. They just you put the cement in there and it mixes it itself. And he refused to use the cement mixer. He's like, "Nah, man, it's better to do it with the shovel." And he's like, "What?" He's like, my dad's like, why would you not use the cement mixer and use a shovel? And he's telling him he's telling my dad that it's faster to do it by shovel. If it was, they wouldn't have invented a cement mixer, And it was just like these things that, like, these are the type of challenges that you have. And again, extrapolate that out even outside of construction, of these like mental blocks that some individuals have because of the lack of experience, that they'll tell you that mixing cement with a shovel is faster and more efficient than using a cement mixer. And these are the ridiculous things that you'll face. And I think, again, outside competition really can get rid of a lot of this. And this is why I'm not afraid of this, even for myself in the hospitality industry. And then even when I look at the construction industry in Jamaica, my opinion, it's going to be make Jamaica better, in the sense of being individual companies are going to have to get better at their craft in a big way and in a fast way. And so, with this flow situation, what's going to happen? I don't know. But at the end of the day, with everything that I'm talking about, like the level of service that we expect as a country, as a people, as customers, it's on us to push it. I think there's going to be a quantum leap in service demand when more of these companies come into Jamaica. And I'm not saying that it should be some sort of free-for-all or anything like that. It definitely needs to be controlled. The playing field, and this is very, very important, it needs to be equal. They, regardless of who it is, they shouldn't have some sort of competitive advantage that we as local companies in whatever industry do not have access to. I'll give you a quick example that was eventually rectified, is that you had these new companies, new hotels that were coming to Jamaica. One of the incentives that they had was they had 10 years tax-free. because they were a new company coming into Jamaica. And we, as a hotel, small hotel that has been here for 10 years, 20 years, or whatever it was at the time, we no longer had access to that because we've existed for more than 10 years. And so that became an unequal playing field. And what the government did to counter that after we lobbied for it, especially as a small hotel contingency, is that they came up with the Omnibus Act. This is mainly on imports coming into Jamaica. And so what this Omnibus Act did, it gave us, there's a list of items that us as hotels can import tax-free based on our needs. And there's a big tax incentive on many of the items. Most of them are items that are not manufactured here in Jamaica. And so that countered that. And as my point in bringing that up is that as international competition comes in, even though this is a free market, it's important that the playing field remains fair as much as possible. As we go, there will be adjustments, I would presume, adjustments made in policy, adjustment made in incentives to ensure that a equal ecosystem is there across the board and across industries. All right, so let's I've been going for a while. Let's get into some comments here. I know there's a lot. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate you so much. James Apple says, my father, Jimmy Jackson, didn't even wait. Whenever he went to the banks, Jamaicans need to raise their standards. It only takes one company to radicalize an industry. Great meeting you at ThriveX. Great meeting you as well, James. Really appreciate you coming. You brought a lot of personality and great questions to the forum. And yeah, we need some radicalization here for sure, and it's just something that, again, we need to push for. Justin says, can't wait to swim on that beach again. And thank you, Justin, for being a channel member for 32 freaking months. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see what else we got here. Free to be Jubilee says, sorry to say, but my business partner and I send her white husband and we get service lickety split. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes that's an unfortunate reality here. And I also experienced this, unfortunately, in South Africa. People ask me like, did you experience anything racist while you were in South Africa? And yeah, but it was from Black South Africans. And it was like, we were a group of Black Jamaicans who were in South Africa, and we were on safari and went for lunch. And they just ignored us completely. And it was not obviously, but it was obvious. It was mostly white people who were on the safari and at lunch. And we're the only group of Black people. And when I say they forgot about us, they forgot about us. And even our tour guide got upset at them that there were so many people who came way, way after us, and they just ignored us. But it's this mental thing here that we gotta, I didn't get it. I understood what was happening. I understood what happened, and they themselves are brainwashed. But I know what you mean. That happens. That does happen from time to time, unfortunately. Kamor says, thanks, Rob. You opened my mind to a new perspectives on foreign competition in Jamaica. You're welcome. No problem. Faith says, what are the services that require persons to go wait in a bank all day, aside from opening, closing accounts? Perhaps greater embrace of electronic transactions is a solution. I will give the banking system here mucho kudos on moving to more digital solutions in respect to their service. That's also been a blessing, is to just use my phone to transfer money, or even, a computer to other businesses. And it's better you have less reasons to go to the bank. So that has helped, but we're not completely there. I think a lot of it, this is my perception, is that there are many times there's just not enough tellers. They're just not enough tellers, at the end of the day. And it's logistics, and forget about it. You go at lunch, forget about it. And I'm sure that within their systems, there is a massive inefficiency. It has to be. It has to be. And again, it's something that has to be pushed from the superiors. Like, hey, this is no longer acceptable. Nobody should be in our bank for any long, like the average time that somebody should spend in our bank is 30 minutes. Let's figure it out. How can we get better? How can we make our team members take less steps during the day? And it's the same, like even like in our, like when we redesigned our kitchen, the whole thing was like, how do we lessen the amount of steps that our chefs, our stewards, and our wait staff have to take? And you make a 1% increase here, 1% increase there. And you do this little by little by little by little. Next thing you know, you're 25, 30% better, 25, 30% more efficient because you've just hacked away little by little by little. I don't think the attention to detail of service is being paid attention in that regard. There's no incentive for them, in my opinion, at least I haven't seen it. There's no incentive for them to figure this problem out. Or maybe they don't see it as a problem. Maybe they're just like, this is the way it is. Let's keep it moving. I don't know. Graham says, trying to open a business account in Jamaica, it's living hell with lengthy delays. I mean, I will say, I opened up a business account in New York. I thought it was going to be like, hey, 15, 20 minutes this was a few years ago. And yeah, it took over an hour. Just like, I wasn't like waiting in line, but like just sitting there, filling out paperwork, answering questions. It took over an hour to open up the business account. And I remember like this guy, side note, the bank manager like came up to me and he started asking me like all these questions about like, he made it like in a friendly way, but he was like, source of funds, why are you opening this business? Like, but the way he was asking the questions, it wasn't like as direct, but I mean, smarter than this guy at the end of the day, to be honest. And I knew what he was trying to do. And I don't know if I was being targeted, so to speak, or this is part of the standard banking practices of doing like outside of the person who is opening the bank account. He came over and like started asking me like all these questions, but he's like trying to be my friend. But like, bro, I know exactly what you're trying to do. But I was like, whatever, I have nothing to hide, and just went through it and went about my day, opened my bank account, and I was good to go. But my point is, it took over an hour. So maybe that's something that's standard. Who knows? Maybe, who knows? Grim says, we should scrap the third world designation. Why call ourselves third world? Because our others call us. Europe was calling itself a developed country, even when it was an S-hole. Yeah, I don't believe we are. I mean, in many respects, we are not a third world nation. Many respects. And Graham says, opening a business account in Jamaica took months with demands for financial information that neither the U.S. or Canada require. Oh, wow. I didn't have that experience here. It took me a few hours here in Jamaica, but again, I wasn't like waiting. It was just like at the desk, same thing, paperwork. Like it took a little over an hour, like signing this document, signing that document, yada yada yada. I'm just gonna scroll up and just randomly go through comments here. There's so many. Sorry. Valerie says, mediocrity unfortunately seems to be present in most of the society, but it's not hopeless. We need better parenting to start. The education of teachers about how to communicate appropriately. Agreed. It's a whole ecosystem. This is why I don't blame like, oh, it's the teachers, it's the education system. It's a part of it. It's a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. But most of your education is going to come from the home. It's going to come from the village. It's going to come from the community. And so a lot of that needs to be looked into. And we realized it here at my family's nonprofit organization, NEAT, the Negro Education Environment Trust. And every Saturday we have these tablet classes, and we started out as these computer classes back in the early 2000s. And kids would come, they take the class with us for over like I think back then it was like a 10-week period, and then they get a computer to take home with them. And it used to be just the kids. And then we realized that when they were going home, that the lessons and principles that we were teaching them were not being enforced because the parents weren't exposed to the lessons and principles that we were teaching their children. And so after a while, we made a requirement that the parents or the guardian had to also come to our classes. And they eventually turned into the tablet classes that we have today. And so now we have our classes where the students have their class, the parents have their class. And there is this duality in accountability where the student holds their parent accountable and the parent holds the student accountable because they were both educated under the same umbrella, same class. And we realized the importance of having this holistic approach. And in a big way, that's what I believe we need to do. Like, that is revolutionary. When and how that happens and how does it happen at scale, I don't know. And that to me is when we think about Jamaica 2.0 and how we get there, that's the only way. Yes, it's education reform in a big way, but it's also how do we focus on the traditional nuclear family and that becoming the norm in our society? I don't know. How do we create society where the community is much more involved and also is invested in the success of all its young people? I don't know. And I think a lot of that is missing in our society. And I think a disproportionate amount of that responsibility is being forced and put on the schooling system and on a system that is not necessarily, again, generalizing here, not necessarily globally competitive. And who knows where we're going to be as a society in 10 years from now. And this is really having conversations with teachers and principals here locally, and they still refer to the pandemic and how behind the students are. And this is just not a conversation that I'm hearing a lot. To this day, they are concerned about the students and the level of education and how much they've missed during the pandemic. Because remember, a lot of students did not have access to the internet. I came out with a video during the pandemic. We did this video with my friend Jessica. She was a teacher, or is a teacher at Manning's High School. And we made a video to teach teachers how to use WhatsApp to teach their course, because that's all we had. And to me, it was just like, it was this problem that needed to be solved immediately, because we realized like we were offering free internet to our kids, our NEET kids, to come here at our NEET resource center across the street from Travelers to use the internet. But the majority of them, they were using Digicel or the phone service to get internet to do their homework. And even their classes were being taught on WhatsApp. And Jessica, she's a young teacher, and she was innovative and forward-thinking enough to like, hey, this is the way we got to do it. And she was very innovative in how she was teaching the class and how she was encouraging and incentivizing participation of her students and holding them accountable. I was like, this is great. We got to put this in a video. We got to get this video out to as many Jamaican teachers as possible. And you know what happened? So if you go to the video now, so many teachers from other countries thanked us for this video, because they also were having the same exact struggles and the same problems. My friend who I went to, I did my MBA with, his family runs a school in Mexico, and he was going through the same problems with his students, not having access to internet at home. And remember, we had a shelter in place, and it was this globalized challenge. And so my point is that we are not the only nation that our kids have fallen behind. And same in the US. I have friends who are teachers in Brooklyn, in New York, who their students did not have internet access, which was astonishing to me. I couldn't believe they did not have internet access, and they had to fall. They fell behind. Some of them had to go work in their parents' businesses and skip school. And so this is a globalized problem, but most especially for a country like Jamaica. I always think, where are our students going to be? Not as students, but as grown adults who move into the workforce in 10 years from now that missed a year of schooling. And anyway, I don't know how I got onto that. Sorry. I'm very, very passionate about education, as you can tell. So I can talk about that stuff all day long. All right, let's get to some more comments here. And then says, there are people in position for just that position. They aren't qualified, and that's part of why we have poor service. Service standards are not huge for Jamaica unless it's in tourism. Yeah, great point. I was having this discussion with a friend last night, as a matter of fact. And yeah, some people just get that position from being around, or they have a pulse and they're like, hey, you want this? You want this upgrade? You want to take on the manager's role? And there is just no qualification. And it's very, very annoying, especially when you're at a certain level and when you're dealing with the leadership of another organization, like a high level manager, and you're just like, yeah, well, you're the guy, you're that person, you're the guy, and you're just like, you just got to roll with it. Like, what are you going to do? Who else are you going to go to? And it's just one of those things. And I'm not saying this to be like elitist or like I'm smarter than you are, nothing like that. I'm just saying that leadership of that organization has failed you, my friend, for you to think that the standard of service that you are giving to the public is even of adequate, sufficient level. And it's just not. It just simply isn't. And I don't know what you did to get to the position that you're in. I just don't know how that you are the guy that is in this position that's supposed to help me. And you just got to roll with it, and you got to push and prod. You can't be rude. You can't be disrespectful. I would never do that. But you got to be on it. You got to keep calling them back. And it's just like, though you're supposed to be a professional, dude, but you're not. And I don't get it. And again, I don't think it's being pushed by their leadership, which makes me question the leadership of the entire organization. All right, let's keep rolling here. Wade's Minute says, I just joined the live stream, but I'm just gonna say I experience bad customer service in most places when I'm in Jamaica, and Flow is the worst company ever. There you go. I'm not the only one. Let's see. Mario Henry says, is legal action an option? I don't know. Maybe. I said this before. I've sued people in Jamaica and have won and felt like I lost. So who knows? Maybe. I mean, I guess it's something. Thank you, Mario. I think this is something that we have to consider at this point. Because we're still paying the bill. Still got a flow bill. So we'll see. Retro for life. Claro, you're bringing back memories. Here. It got even better when Claro came to Jamaica and started free nights and charged $2.99 credits per minute versus Digicel was charging $8.99 per minute. C&W Cable and Wireless had theirs at $25 per minute back then. Competition, 100%. We need it. Maybe I need to start talking to AT&T or Verizon. Have them come to Jamaica. Get these guys act together. Donna Bryce says, Flo in Kingston was a frustrating experience. Not enough competition. Same thing in Canada. Not enough competition with the internet and cell phone providers. And it says, haven't had internet service in St. James area since October. Jeez. James Apple says, Flow is just the worst Elon Musk Starlink company because Flow can't be the only name in town that offers right for cable and wireless. Yeah, like Starlink is going to help. I don't know. Maybe Starlink can open up their own service. Maybe a service can be piggybacked off of Starlink. I don't know. I don't know. Javon says cable and wireless is still at the bottom of the barrel. Just reading comments here, cable and wireless. Just reading comments here. Taylor says monopolization can be damaging. Competition can force companies to give better service. Absolutely. And Ramsey says, what's going on, cuz? Housing, roads, education, water, light, transportation, medical jobs, all issues holding Jamaica back. Absolutely, in a big way. Dabnet says these young people only care about the money, not the service that is being delivered. So sad. And again, I think young people need better, I won't say better. They need good mentors. They need good leadership, good managers. I still remember my manager from when I was in Ryan, when I worked at Jones Beach when I was 14 years old, my first job. I think he was like an 18-year-old kid, but he was my manager and I respected him as such. And it was just like, it was like the first boss in my life outside of my dad. And I was, flipping burgers at the cash register, cleaning garbage cans. But I took the job very, very seriously. And I don't know, I can only imagine if I had a bad manager who had a bad work ethic and that was like, hey, yo, go do whatever you want, come in whatever time you want. And he took his job seriously as a man, he wasn't even a manager, he's a supervisor, excuse me. And I reported directly to him. And I followed his lead. I listened to him. I was a good worker. And if he didn't demand that of me, and I don't mean it like in a bad way or an abrasive way in any respect, but that had a very huge impact on a young, impressionable Throp. And if I had somebody again who just didn't care and was like, hey, do whatever you want, and we don't care about standards or quality here, then I think that perhaps could have changed my work ethic now as a 40-year-old Throp, right? And so I think also like it came from him having good leadership and his leadership demanding a high level of work ethic, a high level of character from him. And then he did the same with me. And I'll give you an example. I just gave this example to a friend last night. Give you an example of his leadership and who he reported to. And I was working this job and I was out back in the parking lot cleaning the garbage. And I was cleaning the garbage cans. And part of my job also was I had to collect the garbage around the boardwalk at Jones Beach. And then also this time I was given the task of cleaning garbage cans because the garbage cans had to be clean, had to be in good condition. And I was cleaning the rolling skip that the garbage bags go into that we were collecting the garbage in. And I was out there blazing hot sun summer at Jones Beach, cleaning away in the parking lot. And I took an incredible amount of pride in that job and in cleaning that garbage skip. And even to this day, anything that I'm involved with, I want to be good at it. I want to do well. And I want to make sure that if my name is attached to it, that there is going to be a level of pride in whatever that final product comes out. I'm going to do my absolute best. And I was doing that same thing, 14-year-old Throp. I was doing that, working with that same tenacity and same good work ethic. Little did I know that my supervisor's manager, he was like the head guy, CEO of the company. And he came down to the parking lot and he just came up to me. He's like, hey, what's your name? I was like, hey, I went to Wellington. And he's like, I just want to say that you are doing an excellent job. And I just wanted to shake your hand. And I was like, oh, sorry, sir. Like, I'm dirty here. I have my gloves on and everything. He's like, I don't care. I just want to shake your hand. And he shook my hand, as dirty as I was from cleaning this garbage. And it was important enough that, and in two things, it's like, one, it's one of those things that you never know who's watching you. You never know. And you just, I don't know. I always work like that. I don't care if somebody's watching me or not. I'm going to make sure I'm going to do a good job. So you never know who's watching you. And the second thing, it just taught me just a huge, invaluable lesson on leadership at my young, impressionable age. And this guy who I put up on this high level of leadership that everybody respected, probably never said two words to him, while I was there, and he was not too good to walk past me. He took the time out of his day to come and shake little old 14-year-old Winthrop's hand and encourage me to do a good job. Immense impact on me. And I'm just like, I always will have maintained I will never, never be too good, better than anybody who's part of my organization. Never, ever, no matter what. And it makes me want to be and always want to make me a better leader for any organization that I am responsible for other people. No matter what, I want to set a good example. I want to be a good mentor. I want to help people achieve whatever their goal that they're trying to achieve. And that taught me this like a huge, huge lesson. So I don't even remember his name, to be honest. I'm sure if I asked some of my friends from high school, they would definitely remember this dude's name. Yeah, it was without question slave labor back then. 100% slave labor. We're making like, I think I was making $3.75 an hour. And I remember I got a raise to $4.10. I was like, I'm rich. I'm out of here. Nobody can tell me nothing. And at 14, I think you could only, I forget what the cap was, according to the labor law, of the amount of hours that you can work. And we were going, we were working 16-hour days. 4th of July, everybody was working double shift. Everybody. But that was back in the day. You could get away with that kind of stuff. Like, no way. No way you could do that stuff now. But anyway, just sharing a little experience with you guys. All right, let's keep rolling here. Let's go to some new comments real quick. Douglas Joseph says, "Bless up, brother. I'm always inspired by listening to you. You are very intelligent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that." Nicole, what's going on? Thanks for jumping on. James says, "Treat people with respect. No matter where they are in the hierarchy of any establishment. I treated everyone with respect when I was at ThriveX event." You absolutely did. Absolutely did. Let's keep going here. Jala says, "Yes, a level of seriousness, responsibility, and pride needs to be brought back and instilled into certain professions." Absolutely. Jamaica says, "We need to develop programs where our emphasis is around productivity and customer service. This needs to be drilled into the society. Poor service is widespread across the island, just like potholes." Yeah, I agree, man. It's going to take a big turnaround. And again, I think one of the quickest ways to this is competition. It's competition. It's the fastest way. It's the fastest way. Because what the competition is going to do is that if the new competition comes in, they're giving better service, lower prices, quicker service, better quality product, whatever it is, everybody is going to move from company A to company B. They're treating their employees better too. Automatically, company A, they're either going to adapt or they're going to go out of business. And I've seen it happen. I always say this. I've seen it happen. Oh, well, I wasn't here for this, but my dad told me post 9/11, financial crisis. And then now, as we go through the post-pandemic era, you're seeing, for many different reasons, you're seeing many businesses go out of business. You've seen many businesses go out of business. And then on top of that, you're seeing an incredible turnover of property ownership. The M&A that is happening right now, never seen it before. Worse than the financial crisis. And I don't know if there is any institution that is, quantifying this. And I mean, this is such important statistics as it relates to the macroeconomics of a country, of a town like Negril. Incredibly, incredibly important to compare the two. And I always go back to when I was taking my MBA program. I took this mergers and acquisitions class, and part of the class, what we had to do is we had to call. Part of our service as MBA students is we had to quantify the M&A activity that was happening in the Boston area in the financial sector. And part of that is like we had to call around all these companies and we had to go through this survey. I think it was investment banks. I think we were called. I can't remember. But anyway, we had this list of companies that we had to call, went through this questionnaire, and then based on this questionnaire, we put all this data together. And for participating in this questionnaire and in the survey, we would give all this data to these companies. But it was a way of measuring M&A, and it really just shows the health and then also the confidence that companies and people have in the economy. And that is such an important element of statistics to have. And I don't know if there's any institution that has this information. I'm just going off of my memory of the M&A activity that happened back then, but who knows? All right, let's keep rolling here. I'm going to go all the way up. And there's so many I missed. Sorry, everyone. I just kept going and going. Jeff says, as a former restaurant owner, the better you pay your staff, the better the services they provide. And then also is like, I agree with that, but also training. You gotta train, like especially here in Jamaica. Like you gotta train because you have to invest in your people. I don't know, it doesn't have to be hospitality, like any business. It's so, to me, it's like, it makes no sense just as a business owner to just try to extract value out of your worker or workers or your team. There has to be something that you're giving back. And even if it's not a skill set that you possess, your worker, whoever it is, like they should be as they come in to be part of your organization, whenever it is they leave, they got to be better than they were when they came in, personally and professionally. And investing in your team is crucial. It's crucial to your well-being as a business owner, and it's crucial to them as an individual, because remember, they're going to go back out into society, into the workforce. And if they spent 2 or 3 years, 5 years at your business, and there is no improvement in their skill set and whatever it is that they do, and they just move on, oh man, forget about it. It's just like you're not helping society move forward. You're not helping Jamaica move forward. And then also you're not helping your business move forward. Donna says, I found the staff and service of beach travelers to be excellent. Dining at Pushcart Cafe, Island Green, LTU, etc., and restaurants in Kingston, all good experiences. Service at Banks, abysmal. There are phenomenally great restaurants in Jamaica, in the grill, that give great service. I agree with all of this. Shirella Inn, Rock House, Skylark, Pushcart, you said. When I go to Kingston, there's so many restaurants. And so in Kingston, lots of competition in Kingston. Tons and tons of competition in Kingston. The restaurants there are great. The service there is great, really, really good. Really, really good in Kingston. Like, it's probably the best, some of the best service that you're going to get. Again, look at the clientele. Kingston is where the money is in Jamaica. The people who have money in Jamaica and anywhere, they're going to demand a certain level of service, or else they're going to take their business elsewhere. And so many great, I can't even remember the name of these restaurants. I just know where they are. I always go to Susie's. That's one of my favorite. I always go there for breakfast a lot. And then, oh my gosh, what is the name of the sushi place that's right there at the courtyard? Somebody help me. I can't even remember. But there's great restaurants. Chilitos, I always go there. Love their tacos. Love their burritos, actually. That's what I normally get. 100, the casino, restaurant, sports place, good bar, that sort of thing. Like, there are great restaurants out there. Really, really great restaurants. I would love for some of those restaurants and businesses to come to the grill. I think you do very well here. Chris Grant says, customer service is somewhat non-existent. Companies need to train their staff to fix this issue. It leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Absolutely. We need better customer service for sure. Hate to beat a dead horse here. Suzette, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you as always. All right, let's see. Sorry, I'm just like randomly scrolling here. Justin D says manners and respect. Hitting the like button is good manners too. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah, here we go. Mon Taylor says, invest in your employees. They are your brand. Absolutely. All right, let's get down to some new comments here. Competition it's going to work. What's needed is training and supervision. Great point. Definitely need that. I was there a few weeks ago. I would never go back because of the service. The government service is the worst. I will say, so government services have also gotten better. I always look at THA, the Tax Administration of Jamaica. So much better. Oh my goodness. So much better. I would say, even though they're not a private company, but they are definitely a candidate for like, turnaround organization of the decade. They are really, really good. I don't know if anybody has like had to call their services on their phone. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I've called them several times, especially if you are maybe coming into the tax system and you're trying to pay your taxes online. They are so patient in helping you set it up and going through the forms. And I realize like they're really catering, in my opinion, this is what I think, is that they are really catering to a society or a large portion of the society who didn't grow up in the internet era and now are adapting to it. So you may have older business owners who are used to going to the tax office to write a check and pay. And now they have the better way, the more efficient way is to just do everything online via credit card. And they really take their time step by step going through it. They understand the system. And I was so surprised. It was like, this is like a couple of years ago. They might have even gotten better. So surprised that they, how good they were and how I felt they were service focused. And then we also had them here at ThropX this year and got people to get their TRNs right on their spot. I don't know if anybody had that experience at ThropX this year, can speak to it, but I got raving reviews from the experience that they had of sitting down with the TAJ and filling out the forms and getting their TRN right on the spot. Raving reviews, like really, really huge turnaround, I have to say. Jay Fitz, what's going on? Unless you have a disruptor in the banking system entering Jamaica, nothing will probably change because the existing banks don't see problems needing to fix. Yeah. Or maybe you have like, like these I don't know if this will happen, but maybe you have like these online banks only, like there's no brick and mortar, they're online only, like they have in the States. I think PNC Bank is one of them. That's the only one that I could think of. There are a bunch of them in the States. And maybe that needs to happen here in Jamaica. And people can move fully digital in every respect, and they no longer have to rely on going to the bank. And then that would also take off the pressure of, I guess, some of the pressure in the lines that these banks have. And so maybe that can come to Jamaica. Maybe we can invite those types of bank systems, or maybe we go full crypto. I don't know. Or maybe I know Jamaica is moving to focus more on its own digital currency, and maybe we move fully to that. Who knows? But something got to give. Natalie says, I got my TRN at the conference. It was phenomenal. Awesome. See, there you go. Awesome. So happy you got that down. So you don't understand how stoked I am that people got their TRNs and they opened up their bank accounts at ThropX this year. Awesome. Copeland Russell says, why 10 years tax break for these big hotels? Why not 5? These big hotels doing damage to small Jamaican hotels. No, I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I mean, 10 years to get a return on investment in the hotel industry, you will do it. You will do it. But how many years of profit are you going to have? And so 5 years is too short. I personally think that's it's not an incentive enough to for a company to come in and put $1 billion down and say only 5 years incentive. Like it's going to take you X amount of years to build a place and then work it. They're going to have to figure things out. So I have no problem necessarily with 10 years. It's just us small hoteliers need to have some sort of equivalent in relation to these big hotels doing damage to these small Jamaican hotels. It depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. I think I made a compelling argument to say that these large hotels that have come to Jamaica have forced us small hoteliers to get better at what we do. And they of course they have jobs in construction, and they have long-term jobs in workers that are giving service to guests who stay at the hotel. So that's also positive. But again, I think it also forces other hoteliers, small, large, and in between, to get so much better. And the competition, I think, is good. Obviously we want to pace ourselves here, right? Gasoline Studio says better service is needed. The import and export industry, the tax office, the Jamaican Postal Service. We need to upgrade to a new digital systems. Jamaican Postal Service. That's another kettle of fish. Our post office here is closed and it grows. It's crazy, but yeah. And then it says Jamaican businesses don't really thrive on surveys. Reputational risk is not a threat. Profit margins are priority. People lose jobs fast without a lengthy process. That's a big driver of poor service. Good point. Good point. Javon says, I've emailed NHT multiple times for a simple pre-approved letter that I still haven't received to date. That's interesting. I've heard, I haven't had that much dealings with NHT, but I've been told they are one of the better government offices in relation to service. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe try giving them a call, email somebody else, email the supervisor, tweet them something. Just be relentless at whatever it is that you need to do there. I'm sorry about that, Javon. All right, I think we got a lot of the comments. Sorry we didn't get all of them. I try to do as many as possible. So I would say, I hope everybody enjoyed this. This was, I think, in my opinion, a fruitful discussion. And we haven't really come up with any solutions. I think my point at the end of the day with this is that I'd like to think we have something to look forward to. And I don't think we are in an endless circle or cycle of bad service continuing in the country. I don't see an immediate turnaround. I do think that, unfortunately, in a large way, that this is going to be around for some time. However, as Jamaica becomes more and more competitive and more players come into different industries, I feel like that is going to be the way in which service across the board is going to be elevated, because there's no incentive like touching somebody's pockets. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. You threaten that in any way, then people tend to move. When you look at behavioral economics, and when you study that and you look at that, huge incentive. When people start going from company A to company B because company B is offering better service, lower prices, more efficient, employees are happier, that's when company A starts acting right. And why does it got to be like this? Why does it got to be like this? But I think it's us, the customers, we have to demand more. If we don't demand more, things are going to stay the same. But it's hard to do. It's hard to get a collective group of people to say enough is enough. But when that collective group of people, through just behavior of their pockets that are incentivized by their pockets and decide to go from company A to company B. Again, I think that's a quick way to make this happen. You know, what's going to happen with travelers and our flow service and our phones? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to push them to help us. But right now we are in quite the quagmire. We are floating out there, no phone line. You can go ahead, try to call travelers right now. You're not going to get us. We are bleeding out. We're losing thousands and thousands of dollars every single week. We are definitely going to move into the lossage in the six figures of US dollars. Somebody came up with the idea of putting forth a lawsuit, something that we might consider at this point in time. But before that, we would love a phone call back, Flo. We'd love a phone call back to let us know what's happening and what's going on. And hopefully there could be some sort of solution that could allow our customers to give us a call. Because again, now when we talk about that cycle of demand and the cycle of a level of service that we are offering to the public, we can no longer do that. We are completely out the game because of Flow's lack of service, lack of response, lack of communication with us. And that's really unfortunate. And for those other companies and other individuals who are suffering the same consequences because of, I don't know if it's their choice, I guess, at this point of just not delivering just baseline service and baseline communication. I feel for you. I feel for you. We are in the same boat, and it's holding the country back. I mean, everything that we're talking about today with poor service, it's an economic catastrophe. And there are so many good things that are happening with Jamaica. So many great investments that are being made here. The road program, the Spark program, is rolling out in full effect right now. They are finally patching the road from Montego Bay to Negril here, excuse me. And there's more to come. So there's positive things that are happening. Many investments that are coming to Jamaica. But man, we still got our challenges, and this is not something that we can ignore. We shouldn't ignore. Still having water issues here in Negril. Again, back to service. And it's just poor service that there is just no excuse in my mind. There's just no excuse. There's also, poor communication with them, and with them being NWC, and the lack of service that they're offering. And this is like, man, we really need competition along so many lines. And I think it's important that we continue to have these discussions, to continue to open the dialogue. Because if we don't, and I think this has been to the detriment of the country, just so many things get slid under the carpet, and so many things is just like, it is the way that it is. No, we can't do that. We cannot allow ourselves to go down that path, or nothing will change. Nothing will change. Our kids, grandkids are going to continue to suffer the same poor quality service. It's going to slow down GDP. It's going to slow down the progress of the country, and we will never reach our full potential as a nation. And it's up to us, the individuals, who then eventually become the collective, to demand a high level of service, baseline level of service. And hopefully we can get some competition in here to really circumvent a lot of this that's happening. So I will keep you all up to date. I mean, hopefully this is not an ongoing saga with this company, with Flow, but I will keep you up to date nonetheless with what happens. And hopefully that maybe they're going through something. I don't know. I'm trying to give some grace here, but we haven't had phones since October. I mean, imagine being a business that doesn't have. I mean, imagine also, we're young entrepreneurs. We know the internet. We have social media. Imagine we didn't have that. Imagine we were senior hotel operators. We'd be dead in the water. We would be dead in the water. And then who's going to hold that back? Who's going to hold them accountable, right? That this public service that we are paying for, especially and say private service that we're paying for, we're just not getting it. It's just incredibly unfortunate. So would love I know I keep going on and on about this. Would love a phone call back from them. Can't you forward your cell phone number? No, it's dead. Like we've tried we've been at this since October. There's no solution. There's no solution that has been offered. All we're doing is now highly considering moving to another company. Unfortunately. All right, last few comments here. Asnell says, Throp, a new investment is needed in the electricity industry. Once a new company is established, JPS will have a competitor, but always they should lower rate to the public, which is happening now. I mean, competition across the board is important. No matter what industry. Buffalo Soldier says, try Google phone number. Yeah, we've put out we have a cell phone, we have a digital cell phone, yeah. But I have a number for close to 40 years. No, not can't be 30 something years, right? Is like it's invaluable. Like having even now, people who my dad started Winthrop Car Service in Canarsie, Brooklyn. Even now, people will come up to me and say, I still remember the phone number for Winthrop Car Service, 718-209-1616. That is powerful. That is a brand. That is something that you can't pay for. Same thing here, Travelers, 957-3039 or 930-876. And having that phone number is very important. It's like not having a website or changing your website. You're going to lose business, and we lost tons of business. And that's just the immediate. Think about it, right? There is somebody who heard about Travelers, never stayed here before. They're trying to call, and they want to stay here, but they can't get through. And it's like, all right, let me go stay at the guy up the road. And they set the guy up the road, and they're like, oh man, this place is amazing. This is my new hotel anytime I come to Negril. We never even got the opportunity to play the game. We never even got the opportunity to show them the service that we have, to show them the amenities that we have. And who knows, maybe our hotel is a better fit for them. But because the other hotel was first to market because their phone lines are working, we've lost that customer in perpetuity. We'll never get them back. We'll never get the dollar that you could have been spending with us this weekend. And they're going to stay at that other hotel. That other hotel has become their new Negril hotel. And so this is what I mean. Like it's unquantifiable, the amount of money that we have lost in the last 2 months. 2 months and change. October, November, December. Yeah, 2 months. Crazy. James says, Blue Magic it's a brand name like Pepsi brand. That's right. Frank Lucas. All right. I'm gonna wrap it right there, folks. This has been very insightful for me, and thank you for allowing me to talk about this subject. I appreciate your engagement today on this Sunday live stream. I saw somebody put in there, will there be a part 2 to this? You betcha. This can't be the only time that we're gonna talk about this subject, and it's just something that I think is ongoing. I'd love to have a guest come on to speak with us about this. I'd love to have somebody from Cable and Wireless and Float come on. I would love to have you on. Let's go, explain certain things, even not necessarily even my situation, even though I would love to get an explanation for what the heck is going on. Banking representatives as well, to give us an idea of what is going on in some of these banks and why does it take so long? What are the challenges that you are as a bank manager or a bank leader are facing that does not allow you to give us the service that you're offering in other constituents outside of Jamaica? I'd love to learn all about this. And so maybe this is something that we could look forward to in 2025 to have folks on from those institutions, so we can learn a little bit more about what's happening and see how it goes. Last announcement, the Throppers Think Tank is Saturday the 14th. I know I messed it up. I thought it was yesterday. So second Saturday of every month, we do a Zoom call. And so if you want to hop on that, you can go to patreon.com/throp and you can join our discussion. And this is a way for us to have an open discussion face to face, because we all have our cameras on. If you want to have a camera on, you don't have to. And if you can't make it in person, we record it and we post it to Patreon. And it's part of the Throppers Think Tank, or TTT tier, $20 a month. And you can be part of that community and be a part of that discussion. Always love doing it, and always look forward to these monthly meetings. Montelli says part 2. We are absolutely going to do a part 2 at some point in the future. All right. Wishing you all a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the past couple of hours. This was fun. We won't be back next Sunday. I actually got an event that I'm going to, and I'm going to be away from the grill. So no live stream next Sunday. I'll try to make it up to you. We'll get one in for sure before Christmas at some point in time. All right. Wishing you all a great week, everyone. Thanks again for hanging. I will see you soon. Peace.